Hello, my name is Cassidy Knight, and this is my critical race narrative. I do believe that there is an overlap between race and ethnicity, but knowing that race is based on physical features, I identify as white. However, my ethnicity is Hispanic, so I know it can get confusing, which creates that note of overlap between the two. I would say that based on a mixture of awareness and history, I have been informed of my racial identity. Race in the past was often used to determine who was white and who was black with no in between. And as a child, I was often confused since I knew I was Hispanic. Now, based on education, I understand why to say white based on the APA definition of physical traits. Race has framed my identity by understanding the different forms of discrimination that I have either been a part of or seen. I have a better understanding of what race means and how it differs from ethnicity or culture. Once I left my hometown, where I had never experienced any discrimination, I better understood my roots, where I came from, and what I identify as. Moving to a new place where there were fewer minorities or just mixed people, I realized who I was. I will now discuss my racism encounter. So while I was in the military, at the time I was the only female in my office and also a minority. So I am Hispanic, and I do see this story as racism towards me in this case. Like I mentioned, I believe there is an overlap between race and ethnicity, and this was my experience. I had an office composed primarily of white individuals with one other minority male. We were having a potluck, and my superintendent at the time had asked me if I was bringing anything. At the time, I was living in the barracks, so I didn't have access to a kitchen to where I could make anything. I said what I was going to bring, which was just drinks and utensils, but he was quick to say, I thought you would bring rice or some side dish, which completely caught me off guard since I knew he was stereotyping me as a Hispanic. In addition to that, another individual said, yeah, I mean, you're always cleaning all the time. I had a Mexican maid when I lived in Germany who would cook and clean for my family. Again, I was initially appalled by what was just said, especially since it came out of nowhere and I was just minding my own business. So here I was in Erickson's sixth stage of psychosocial development. This is the intimacy versus isolation stage, and at this stage, individuals seek close, long lasting relationships. In the military, it is somewhat encouraged to see your coworkers as family, since we're all away from our families back home. In the sixth stage, relationships should be built on trust and respect to foster closeness in a long lasting relationship. If not, it could lead to isolation, which could lead to loneliness and disconnection. I feel that because of this act, which may have seemed small, it stereotyped me, leading me to feel different, left out, and disrespected. I was a very young airman at the time, so I hadn't really connected with anybody in my office yet. I hadn't had the opportunity to start these relationships. However, I connected really well with the other person in the office who is also a minority. He is Black and Korean. We both often felt left out and different from our office, but he and I bonded better than we did with everyone else that we worked with. This led to distrust within the office, but we had it amongst ourselves. So, I have come across an article discussing anti racism, and it says that it's vital that as an anti racist, we must reverse and unlearn what is common today to also be uncomfortable with the norm and to show that. I think it's important for us to advocate for ourselves and for others and to teach children the importance of intersectionality that is involved with racism, sexism, and overall discrimination. So now going back to my encounter, I wouldn't have changed anything or any way that I had responded because I've always been one to advocate for myself and to work hard continuously. Just because someone may have perceived me a certain way doesn't mean that everyone else would, which many others didn't. And I still excelled at my work, and I never let this connection stop me from doing my job. This is a photo of me earning one of the most prestigious Air Force awards, which is only offered twice in one's career if they make it far enough to attend leadership school. This is the John Levitt Award, and I had earned it through my time in leadership school. Although I had encountered some stereotyping and playful racism from time to time, I still excelled at what I had set my mind to. My time in the military taught me how I want to lead, and I led my troops to stand up for themselves and to always advocate for what they believed is right. I felt this way through my experiences, both good and bad, and I will continue to have this attitude in my future in whatever that I do for myself and for others.